John Pierpont Morgan was born in 1837 to a father who was part of a London-based merchant banking firm. Already in the banking world, he was also an art collector and a philanthropist. Following his graduation from high school in 1854, he traveled to Europe to study and returned to New York in 1857 to begin his finance career. He would go on to run a banking empire, control the nation's finances, and buy small companies with the goal of making them empires. Some examples of his entrepreneurial expertise are AT&T, U.S. Steel, and General Electric. To the United States' dependence on high prices of crops overseas to continue their economic success, they fell into a deep financial crisis when the price of wheat crashed internationally in 1893. While the nation was in distress, J.P. Morgan bailed the government out of the panic of 1893 by selling gold bonds and buying gold back from foreign markets. He once again came to the aid of the U.S. in 1907 by convincing top financiers to bail out failing financial institutions to stabilize the stock markets. In this way, J.P. Morgan is a captain of the banking industry in that he bailed the U.S. out of two financial crises. Morgan reorganized his company into J.P. Morgan & Co. The financial firm became a major part in the steel industry of the U.S. by financing Federal Steel in 1898. 3 years later, Morgan bought out Carnegie Steel Company for $500 million to become the United States Steel Corporation, America's first billion-dollar corporation. He later merged the entities into U.S. Steel. Morgan was heavily involved in the U.S. railroad industry and eventually controlled 1/6 of America's lines, becoming a major player in the industry. Morgan monopolized all railroads in the Northwest, most importantly the Northern Securities Company, which was unfortunately dissolved by Roosevelt during his antitrust movement. During this process, he helped reorganize troubled railroads and reduce competition between them. Although J.P. Morgan did indeed save the U.S. from financial ruin, it came at a hefty price for President Cleveland and other White House officials. He loaned the government $65 million in gold, but charged a commission amounting to about $7 million. Seeing as how he was a businessman looking to make a profit. However, he agreed to obtain half of the gold abroad and keep it within the boundaries of the United States. His trust created through the use of interlocking directorates had the goal of eliminating all competition, leading historians to give another example of his robber baron characteristics. However, for the most part, J.P. Morgan was a captain of industry for his ability to keep the nation financially stable during two crises, entrepreneurial attitude, and improving the railroad, banking, and oil industries. Morgan died in his sleep on March 21, 1913 in Rome, Italy. To pay tribute, the New York Stock Exchange was closed on the morning of his funeral. Upon his death, his fortune was estimated to about $68 million. His name is still known through the J.P. Morgan Chase & Co., a banking firm he created that is still used today. J.P. Morgan became one of the most wealthiest of his time and known as a captain of industry. Although he received criticism from some that he was gaining too much power and could control the financial system for himself, he saved America from financial crises as well as smaller firms while making millions.